want to talk for a brief moment about blades that you'd use out in the woods, or I don't know, wilderness blades, if you want to call it. I don't know, whatever. We all know you need a smaller knife than any of these for skinning, working on fine tasks, anything like that. I'm not going to cover that. I mean, there's perennials of that, like, a lot of good pocket knives out there, buck 110, stuff like that. But, when you're out here and you need to chop some wood or do some heavier tasks, what do you choose? Now, a lot of people really like this one. This is a K-bar USMC. I have the Kydex sheath, but it's on my belt, so I'm not gonna show you. Um, I love this knife, but it has limitations. There's a very small rat tail tang in this handle. If you try to baton big logs, you're gonna break it. It's not really meant for that. It's a general utility knife. Now, I do use it for some prying, although don't go ridiculous. And some light batoning, small stuff. If it was the only thing I had, I'd use it, but no. And not only that, but if you try to baton this with bigger stuff, this handguard's gonna bend back on you. I promise you that. Of course, we have a saw. You pretty much only do one thing with this, and that's cross cut. You're not gonna split, and I like it, but to me, personally, on smaller stuff, it takes just as much energy to use this, to me, as this. A couple of strokes with an axe, and you're through a log, or, small log. This takes a while. Now, one thing I will say, one caveat, is that this is the safest option out of any of these. You're not going to miss, you're not going to cut yourself, not going to probably not accidentally slice yourself on this. You're not going to chop yourself to the bone. So there's one advantage to this, that it's safe. And another reason, even if I'm not using all of these, I bring them with me sometimes. If you've got a buddy and he does not know what he's doing with an axe or a knife, this is a much better option for him to be using and still be helpful. Here we got an Ontario Marine Raider Bowie. I've had this since I was like 14 and I'm like 26 now. So I've had this for a really long time. As you can see, it's got some battle scars. This is heavy, a lot more difficult to carry than a K-bar, but this does not have a rat tail tang. I have beat on this knife. I've used it for a million different tasks. It is ridiculously resilient. I mean, and down to like 0-degree weather. Never chips, just keeps working, but it has limitations. You gotta put a lot of force in it to really chop with it, and it's a pretty good batoner though, because it's a pretty thick blade and it's pretty heavy, and you're not gonna hurt it probably unless you try to chop rocks or bricks or some ridiculous thing that no one would ever do in their right mind with a knife. And then here we have an Estoing axe. This is a long handle one. I believe this is 26 inches long. I think it's about 3.5-inch cutting surface. Very awesome. I love this thing. If I could only have one blade for wood processing out of all of these, I would pick this. It splits, it chops. I'm not going to show you, but it'll shave hair. It's ridiculously sharp. I don't know what steel exactly Estwing makes these out of. My guess would be 1055 or 1085. Whereas, obviously, this is 1095, I think chrome vanadium, and this is just plain 1095. But I love this thing. It's basically, unless you try to pry huge heavy things with it, it's indestructible. The handle's steel. What the heck are you going to do to it? Even if this came off, it would suck because there'd be a lot of vibration, although it's not shown any sign of wearing off of this axe since I've owned it. But, there'd be a lot of vibration, but I'm sure the steel would never, disintegrate. Obviously, it's not like a wooden handled axe, which I do have. I have some wood handled axe and I love them, but this thing is a monster. It cuts really deep, and it just, you could have a huge guy that's wickedly stronger than me out here chopping with this thing, and I'll be chopping with this, and I'll be doing this all day long. It's so much easier. It chops so much deeper. It's not as safe, and you got to be careful with it. You got to know what you're doing. You got to get some practice. You don't want to go out full power and swing with it and chop off a foot first thing. You got to start small and build up. I've been, using axes for a long time. I've got a pretty good rhythm. I'm pretty safe, you know. But if you're using one, for God's sake, wear pants. And wear pants like denim or something. You know, give yourself some protection. Same with using a knife. Wear some gloves. You know, I've saved myself some pretty nasty cuts by just having a, you know, they don't even have to be thick. Just mechanics gloves. You know, can save your hands sometimes. Um, so wear gloves and wear pants. Don't be out here with shorts chopping away with something like this, especially when it's this bloody sharp. But anyway, there's just some ideas I have. Like I said, if I can only have one and the trip's not too far, this would be my choice. These two make an excellent together. You know, you can chop down your trees with this, cross cut it up with this, and then, you know, split with this again. Works pretty good. Also, you could pair this with any of these, although this, I wouldn't really use much for wood processing, except, you know, extreme. It's the only knife you have because it's light. You're going for a long trip, and you just want a utility knife. But then, you know, if you're batoning with this, don't even try anything bigger around than this limb. It's just stupid. Don't sink that into a huge log. In fact, you know, even this, I mean, it'll take it, but why are you trying to baton huge logs with a knife? If you're out here surviving, you don't need huge logs, you know? Stuff like this even is on the bigger side. You don't need anything bigger than that for your campfire. You don't need huge diameter logs. I don't understand that. I don't know why you see a bunch of people on YouTube doing that. It seems kind of counterproductive and silly. If I'm splitting something that's huge, I'm at home using a maul or a pneumatic splitter. Well, we don't have a pneumatic splitter, but I'm using a maul. Or I don't know if it's pneumatic, probably hydraulic, sorry. But I'm using a splitting maul at home, or a wedge and a sledgehammer. You know, it's just asinine. In this, you can split with this, even with batoning. You know, sink the head in and hit this head portion here. It'll work. A little bit more awkward than a knife, but it works, and it's safer than just swinging away. So anyway, there's some of my basic thoughts and experiences with these particular tools. So I mean, I'm sure a full-size axe would be even more powerful, but no, this one easily fits on a backpack. Well, a backpack, military-style backpack. It fits on, and it's not that bad to carry.